Hello and welcome to Katiie Pavlich Tonight. House lawmakers questioned Bill Clinton for more than 6 hours today about Jeffrey Epstein, but it certainly wasn't the first time he's had to explain himself.
What's an utterly false statement? Is that correct?
It depends upon what the meaning of the word is.
Despite flying repeatedly on Epstein's jet, being photographed in pools with Ghislaine Maxwell, and being depicted wearing a blue dress with red pumps in a painting at Epstein's home, the former president reportedly said he saw nothing and did nothing wrong. President Trump was asked about today's deposition and had this to say.
I don't like seeing him deposed, but, they certainly went after me a lot more than that. I don't like seeing him. Look, I like him, and I don't like seeing him deposed.
Bill Clinton did not speak to reporters following his deposition, but House Oversight Republicans did. According to them, the former president wouldn't shut up.
He did attempt to respond to every single question asked. Even when his attorneys told him to shut up, he kept, going.
So to recap today's testimony and share what's next, let's bring in friend of the show and House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer. Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for being here tonight. So before we get started into Bill Clinton's testimony, we did see a photo tonight. Lauren Boebert, who is on the committee, Congresswoman, sent this out on X just tonight. According, we talked to you last night, and you said that she had been talked to about posting a picture of Hillary Clinton yesterday. And here we are again. Just have you talked to her about this second photo and the rules?
No, I was just made aware of the photo about an hour ago. Obviously, I would assume the photo was published after the deposition was over. But I asked that nobody post any photos from inside the room. We're going to release the whole video, hopefully within the next 24 hours. So I really don't know what the purpose of taking a photo and posting it. It's an unfortunate situation, and I'm going to talk to House leadership, and we're going to figure out where we go from here.
As you continue this investigation and you want to bring in more witnesses or additional people for depositions and testimony, does things like this make it more difficult to get people in the door, or does it not matter that much?
Doesn't help. It doesn't help. Look, I think she's going to have to answer for herself why she did that. I don't think President Clinton will be as dramatic about it as Hillary Clinton was. But again, we said no pictures. I said no pictures. And that picture was released. Again, it's an unfortunate situation. But I don't think that in any way, shape, or form delegitimizes the deposition. I think it was a substantive definition. I think that President Clinton would say it was substantive. Every photo, every email that we've seen on the internet pertaining to Bill Clinton, he was asked by Republicans, and this time the Democrats actually asked some real questions. This is the first time in the 3 years I've been chairman of the House Oversight Committee that the Democrats actually participated at any level in a deposition where they actually asked real good questions. And I thought to myself, well, that's a pretty good question. So yeah, it was a great deposition. Hopefully it'll be helpful in the investigation as we move forward.
Well, it certainly sounds like the deposition with Bill Clinton today was smoother, at least more collegial than yesterday's deposition with Hillary Clinton. And we look forward to getting that video, as you said, within 24 hours, hopefully. What would you say was the most helpful information or answer you got from the former president that will help your investigation move forward?
Well, we've got a new name of someone that, according to both Clintons, was very close with Maxwell. We still had a hard time bringing in anyone that had a close relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell. She was the main co-conspirator. She was the main person, according to the victims and according to the DOJ documents. Ghislaine Maxwell was the main person who recruited the other girls to come in, whether you call it trafficking or misleading the girls or prostitution or whatever the legal definition is. Ghislaine Maxwell was more responsible than anyone else on the planet in getting these girls who were abused in the Epstein web. So we don't, thus far, we haven't been able to talk to anyone very close with him. The Clintons gave us a name. We're going to probably move forward with that name because we have a lot of questions about Ghislaine Maxwell as well, considering she was the main co-conspirator.
Yeah, and of course, she doesn't want to testify. She's been sentenced to 20 years in federal prison, is now serving that sentence for her role in all of this. Earlier this evening, you had this to say about the need for your committee's investigation. Take a listen.
Obviously, the government failed the victims. There was justice was not served in Palm Beach when Epstein was first arrested. We're very concerned about that.
So the government failed victims before, as you said. The committee cannot charge anybody with a crime. They can only refer people for criminal prosecution to the Department of Justice. Are you confident that the government won't fail again to serve justice to those who missed out on it as a result of previous investigations? Sadly, no. I'm not confident that the government will be able to catch someone like this again and hold people accountable, especially if they're rich and powerful. One of the things I think is amazing that President Clinton said today, he was asked if he was ever questioned by any law enforcement agency about Jeffrey Epstein, and he said no, and he went on to say that he was surprised that he had never been questioned, and we asked, why were you surprised you've never been questioned? He said, because it's a well-known fact that I flew on the plane 27 times, and he came to the White House, and he said it's a well-known fact that he knew Ghislaine Maxwell and considered her a friend, even though he said he didn't consider Epstein a friend. He said no one ever questioned him. And I think that says a lot about all the various government agencies that stretch through all the various presidential administrations. Not a single Department of Justice, not a single U.S. Attorney's Office, no one from the FBI ever questioned Bill Clinton, even though they knew that he might have possessed some knowledge. Was that simply because he was the president?
Was
that simply because he was a president, so they felt like he was off limits, or what's the reasoning for that?
I don't think so, because there are others in this investigation that have never been questioned, that were with Epstein, that spent time with Epstein. You know, the most concerning people in this investigation are the ones that continued their friendship and continued their relationship with Epstein post-conviction.
Right.
Everyone that we brought in is going to say, well, we didn't know Epstein was that bad till it came out when he got convicted in Palm Beach. But from that point on, you had another 10-year period where he kept doing the same things. He kept abusing women. He kept, making money. He kept, rubbing elbows with the rich and powerful. And even though they knew he was a convicted sex offender, they still associated with him.
Yeah.
Those are the real bad people, and none of them, to my knowledge, have ever been questioned by law enforcement.
Yeah, and also, you're seeing a lot of big-time Democratic players resigning because they were still involved with Epstein post his conviction, including President Obama's former White House counsel. Before you go, President Clinton said today that he thinks it's up to you guys, obviously, to bring in President Trump for testimony if that's something that you want to explore. Are you concerned that bringing Clinton in today as a former president has opened the door to demands that President Trump come to testify and be deposed in front of your committee?
Let's look back a few years. When President Trump left the White House the first time, how many times did Democrats have President Trump in a courtroom? Yeah, he was in courtrooms in multiple states. I don't know how many times he was sued and drug in front of court. So the Democrats have already set the precedence of going after a former president. They want to try to blame it on me. But what's funny is this blew up in the Democrats' face. The Democrats had Clinton because they wanted to be able to say you can bring in a former president. But, Clinton in the end said, I talked to Donald Trump and I don't think he ever did anything wrong with respect to Epstein. You could have seen, the Democrats look like they saw a ghost when Bill Clinton said that today in the deposition. So I don't think the Democrats have accomplished anything. Maybe they'll get off Donald Trump, I doubt it, and focus on, the real people who have evidence that committed crimes and go from there. But right now, all the Democrats on the Oversight Committee are concerned about is Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, it's an election year, and that seems to be their platform, is Trump instead of other policy platforms. We will continue to follow your committee's investigation, of course. Chairman Comer, thank you so much for joining us again tonight on The Latest. We hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.